Okay, so I'm going to talk today about how I'm trading silver. I know silver has been really hot this year. Right now, I have a short term target of $89. I'm not actually in silver itself, I'm in some stocks for this trade. But I will be adding silver itself in the correction zone, which I think will be in the 50s and 60s. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm just a mom sharing what she thinks is going to happen based on some data she's looking at, some charts she's looking at. And then my long term target, I definitely think in the next year or two, we could hit 150. And that's where I'll be out of silver and all of my silver related stocks that I will be sharing with you today. So, again, I think, if you didn't see my last video, I do have a pretty decent track record. These are some of my, annualized gains, blah, blah, blah. But why silver is my focus right now? Well, it's pretty easy to map with Elliott wave structure. There's also a lot of other analysts mapping it and having similar conclusions as me. Some of us have a few differences, but for the most part, we're all bullish. And I think that's really helpful. Like as a mom, you don't want to trade in a bubble. You want to look and see what other traders think? What other Elliott wave traders think? And that information is out there. So that can help you confirm and be a little bit more confident in your own thesis. If you're the only one bullish on silver, you might want to think about that. So I traded silver earlier in the year, and I sold. I didn't sell at 120. I sold, I think, at 110 or something. It's really hard to sell at the total top, but I sold on that run to 120. Now it's in an ABC correction. There's a lot of tailwinds from deglobalization, dollar credibility concerned, and central banks are buying lots of precious metals. AI is going to need all this silver. So there's lots of bullish, lots of reasons why silver is bullish. So when VIXI crossed 75 in April 2025, I started to scale into some silver. One of my silver stocks died last year, though. I can't remember what it was called, but it had some kind of, had a mine in Mexico, and there was something that went wrong. I don't remember what it was, but otherwise, the silver stocks and the silver positions did really well. And the reason that I'm not buying at 89 and I'm waiting for it to dip is because I'd rather make less than risk more. So I sold near the 120. I think 110 is pretty close. I've been taking scalps on the daily, which I'll have another video. I'll show you how I day trade. And then I'm waiting for the correction before I reload with, a high conviction size. Even then, I'm going to scale in and I'm going to leave a little bit out. So this is where we are in the wave. This is my Wave Basis Pro. I'm looking for the 50s, 60s. I mean, it might not go that low. It might go lower. Like when I went in Wave Basis Pro a couple weeks ago, it did show a potential for 37. Now it seems to say 60 as the bottom. So just keep in mind that those wave counts can change. And so you're going to adjust as you get closer to your trade. But my long target is 150. So if you're gonna hold, if you can hold your money, if you don't need it tomorrow, which I mean, I don't recommend investing money you need tomorrow. If you get in the 50s and 60s and it goes to 37, I think eventually it's gonna go to 150. It just might take longer if it goes to 37. So my short term, I'm going to take profits in my silver stocks near $89. And I'll talk about that. I'm not going to be holding through the correction because then I'm going to miss out on probably miss out on buying dips. I might hold a small position of each of these in my hold account, but in my swing account, I'm selling everything. I'm actually started scaling out today. Silver's in the 80s, so it's getting up there. And then I'm going to wait for the 50s and 60s. And that's where I'm going to add back my silver stocks. I'm going to take my position in silver. And then I'm just going to wait for 150. And then I'll be selling everything and I'll be out of all of my silver stocks. And so June is kind of what I'm looking for because there's going to be this Fed rate cut decision. And that, interest rates going up and down doesn't always have a super clean relationship to silver. So if a rate cut is announced, there could be a risk-off panic sell-off. That's going to signal something is really wrong with our economy. And that's where I could see silver potentially flushing to that $37 area. Everybody's alarmed. inflation expectations rise, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then silver will continue to surge. So, I mean, I might just keep a little bit of money on the table to add if it does go to that 37. If there's no cut or if there's a hold, you know, if this is what I'm expecting, then we'll have a more orderly correction most likely into the 50s and 60s. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I think it's going to happen at some point. And then that ABC correction will play out. I'm going to start small at 60, add more in the 50s, just keep a little bit to add if it goes into 37. But hopefully it won't go into this correction until after June, and then I'll have a better, you know, I'll be able to feel more confident about deploying my capital in the 50s and 60s. So I'm hoping that that lines up. If it goes to the 50s or 60s before June, I'm probably going to not put as much money in as I would as if it went after June, because, you know, I don't want to, you know, risk management is really the key to being a consistently profitable trader. And then you don't want to just have all your money tied up, all your capital tied up in like one thing that you're going to have to wait for like a year or two to get out of it. So right now, my core position, my biggest silver position is USAS. And I entered at 527. There wasn't like 100% confirmation. I talked about this in my last video, but I saw it starting to curl and I was feeling pretty good about it. And so I entered it. I'm going to be waiting. I'm going to be selling when silver hits 89. The wave basis target is 1383. I'm going to sell no matter what when silver hits 89, and then I'll be buying back my USAS. But I do have a USAS position when I bought it in my swing account. I also opened 100 shares in my long account that I'm just going to hold until silver goes to 150. And the reason I like to do that for my favorite stocks, my highest conviction plays, is that I don't end up chasing. So let's say I sell when silver goes to 89 and USAS decides to run to like 18 or something. I'm like, oh, I got it in my long account. I'm good. I don't have the FOMO. I'm not going to chase and lose all my money and blow up my swing trading account. You know, my swing trading account, I actually really like to start taking profits early. Like I started trimming a little bit today as well. So that's my first one. I also really like Solitario Resources. And I actually found them as a copper angle. They have like a Bright Angel project. They also have some silver, but the main thing is there are a discovery or explorer. Like they're very speculative. I've entered in at 73 cents. I'm going to take most of my profits at 120, and then I'm going to hold speculative long. Most speculative miners, I think like only 15% of them are successful. So it's really high risk, high reward. I think it could go to like $3 if they get bought out. Some people online are saying like, it could go to $200. I really don't think that's happening. Newmont has like 9-something% stake in them, but I am very bullish on them. But I sized accordingly, knowing that it's very speculative. Then Hecla Mining is more of like, you know, it's like a safer one, you know, not as volatile, a little bit more established. They also have copper, but they're mostly a silver miner. They're still not, like, I have a tiny position. I've been adding when it dips below 20 at 19, but I do see it could go to like 16. I mean, maybe even lower when if silver would go to like the 50s or the 30s, it would go lower. But I think adding at 16 would be a pretty good position. And then my target is $40. I'll probably start scaling out at like 35. But I really like that company, and they have a historical relationship with silver in general. But it didn't seem to be quite as strong during the first run. And then Nexa is another good mining stock, but I'm waiting until it gets closer to $8. It just had this big run, but you do see lots of buying, like huge volume bars. But I am not going to buy after a recent spike. So if it doesn't come to my price target, I'm just going to let this one go. I missed it. I think that's a really important lesson of trading, is like sometimes you just miss a trade, like, and you just have to let it go. Because if you get that FOMO, that's how you're going to like lose all your money. CDE is another one that, you know, seems like a pretty strong company on a fundamental level, but in terms of a technical level, it's pretty messy looking. So right now it looks pretty bearish. So I'm just like looking at it, but I mean, I would consider taking a position in this one as well when I take my long position in silver at whatever price. I would probably wait till the 50s of silver, and then I would take just like a tiny speculative position in this, and then I would only go big in this one if silver like went into the 30s. Just because this is probably like, I like this stock, but it's like my least favorite out of all of the ones. And then I just wanted to share this like really cool speculative position I didn't take yet. I think, it's too close to the recent catalyst. So I kind of day trade. I just like look, and if there's really good news, I know it's going to run, I'll jump in with $100. I never day trade more than $100. And this particular stock, AIXI, it's a Chinese stock. They have some kind of lawsuit with Apple. There's some kind of $1 billion IP lawsuit, but while there is a real catalyst, that lawsuit, we don't know how long it's going to take. I do expect this stock to pull back to like the 60s or 70s. Like my brain is just really showing me like the 60-cent range. And so that's when I'm going to add like $100 lottery ticket position, because if it does win a lawsuit, like I can make $100 into $1,000. But if it doesn't, like maybe I lose 50% of $100, maybe I lose $50, right? And so you don't want to take too many lottery tickets, but if there's one that you're like, hey, that might be worth a gamble, like I try not to have more than one at a time in my account. Maybe two if there's like two that I feel really confident about, but I don't want to be like losing more than potentially $100 at any given time, because again, that's like how people blow up their accounts. You want to be really careful with those speculative positions. And so here's my favorite silver basket. Obviously, America's gold and silver is my favorite. I have it in my swing account. I have it in my long account. Same thing for XPL, Solitario Resources. I have it in my swing account. I have it in my long account. I actually even have some in my IRA because I had some money hanging out there and I was like, I really like this one. I know that it's a risky stock. It could go to like 50 cents, but it's been going well so far. It has some good upcoming catalysts throughout the year, throughout 2026. So, we'll see. Again, only 15% of those like explorer miners actually like drill and find things. So I think there's a higher chance on this one, but like still not very high. Hecla Mining is like your more like institutional grade silver stock. I mean, I think you could hold this in your IRA, but I'm going to be selling when silver hits 150. I'm thinking it will be around the $40 range at that point, but maybe it will only be in the 30s, unless something like unforeseen were to happen. And I really like Nexa Resources, but I am not entering today. I'm watching it. If it doesn't come to my target, I'm not going to enter. That's just something that I do, is like, most of the time it does come to your target. You just have to be a little bit patient, but sometimes it doesn't and you miss out. And then I'm just watching Core Mining. It has a really messy wave count. It's really hard on a technical level. So again, not financial advice, but I really like silver right now. I really like copper. Some good copper stocks. Like, I mean, Hecla Mining has a little copper. Solitario Resources has a little copper. FCX is like a really good one. COPX is a good thing to put in like your IRA and hold. But but silver is kind of the exciting one right now. And so now we're waiting for that correction to enter at 60, add in the 50s. Maybe I'll probably take a position at 60. Hopefully it's after the June Fed decision, so I know how to size a little bit more, but it probably will come before with my luck. Who knows? And then I'm going to be all out of silver at 150. And then I'm going to be showing you some of my favorite AI and tech stocks. I'm out of almost all of those right now because I think the market is, kind of getting towards the top again. I thought the market was going to be red today, and it wasn't. The options expired, but it seems to be. I'm a little nervous to stay in. So, anyways, thank you for listening, and I hope you have learned something or enjoyed the video.